So for assignment 8, question 1, we were to make the shaders configurable for the fog. Um, so I did this this is the texture light shader. I added a structure that holds the fog parameters, the start, the range, and the color. And I included that as part of the light parameters constant buffer. Um, and Actually just used that in the uh, in the actual pixel shader. Where we go? Just changed it to use the fog data.fog start, the range and the color. In the corresponding C++ class, I made the similar structure, created an instance of that with setting it to default to basically no fog with the start of the float max. And then I changed the data light params to include that fog parameter. I included a set fog method that will also allow you to set the fog information. And then whenever the send light parameters is called, it will take that and send that along as well. And just basically all you really need to do is call the set fog parameters and just with that gets sent for the send light parameters, and then everything else kind of works the same. And the result is this. You can see the lights still going on the texture up close. Everything looks good. Then as you zoom out, everything slowly starts fading away, and things are gone. The only thing that's left is a little bit of the plane and the box that's on a different shader. So that's about it for that one. So for question 2 for the mirror, so basically I change everything from the shader color to both the shader color light and the texture light. And the main thing was setting up the spotlight. So when we render in the front, we just do it like we've always done in the past. But when we actually do the mirror, we have to not only multiply the position by the reflection matrix, but also the normal, along with, of course, the actual world matrices for the models. So we're doing that here and here. And then we're for the texture shader, we're doing the same thing, multiplying by the reflection matrix, and we end up with something like this. You can see how the lights are still working on the front. You can see as it goes around the back, you can see how it reflects both the light and the texture. If you can see that real fast. So you can see that in the mirror, how it reflects. Yeah, there we go. And you can also see the kind of the spotlight going across in the back. So, yep, there we go. So that's about it for that. Yep. So for the further work, I've created this mirror class. Pretty basic. Just contains basically the mirror model, the mirror's world matrix, and then the reflection matrix, and a couple of methods for doing for being called during the render. So for building the reflection matrix is pretty straightforward. It's just called in the constructor. And now for the mark pixels and the do mirror are basically take what was in the DXApp draw scene and kind of moves that into the mirror class. So we still, for step one, we still do the standard render that we've been doing. Step two just calls this Smart Pixels, which contains the stencil, the writing to the stencil buffer. And then step two also, at the end of it, it also sets up for step three. Now for the actual reflection for step three, since it's already set up at this point, basically just again call the render, except with the reflection matrix that we've set up. And then that ends, and then step four is the actual mirror, where we're doing the actual mirror blending. So here we are ending step three, and then just doing the blending phase and just rendering the model, and then resetting that back, and that's pretty much it for that. Basically, all we have to do is call this mirror method. A couple of things though, I don't really like mixing these two together. Kind of these two, they don't really make sense going together other than just the order, so I would probably change that. And I would also think about maybe storing some of these parameters in the class, or moving ownership of that into the mirror object, so I don't have to constantly pass those around. I'll do that if I have time for the final project. So yeah, I'll work on that if I have time. Oh well. Oh, and the end result is oh, come on. The end result's basically the same as we had before. Just so yeah. So that's about it on that.